All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the September 9th, 2024 regular council meeting. A bit of an up and down day outside, but the sun is out finally again, and after a wonderful weekend, it's nice when it's not so nice outside when you have to get back to it. So with that, we will open our meeting this evening. Members of council, there is an agenda before you. Councillor Palechko with the motion, please.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. The Town Council adopt the September 9th, 2024 regular council meeting agenda as presented.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Councillor Palechko. Administration, anything to add to the agenda?
Nothing to add at this time, Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you very much. With that, I will call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. And it is a fairly short agenda this evening, so we will get through it as quickly as possible and get you back to your regular evening viewing. We have our public input session. This is the time we allow members of the public to speak to council about anything that is not on the current agenda. Administration, has anyone registered to speak this evening?
Through the Deputy Mayor, no one has registered this evening.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone in council chambers who would like to speak to council about anything that's not on the current agenda? Seeing none, item 4 on our agenda is presentations and delegations. We do not have any this evening. And item number 5, is our statutory public hearings, which we also do have none. So we will move on to the adoption of council minutes. We'll start Councillor Hansard with the motion, please.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, I move that Town Council approve the August 26, 2024 regular council meeting minutes as presented.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hansard. Members of council, you've had the opportunity to read and review the council minutes from August 26, 2024. Are there any errors, omissions, or corrections? Seeing none this evening, I will call to question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. Number 7.1, we have the Growth and Commerce Committee minutes from June 17th, 2024. Councillor Meyer, for the motion, please.
Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor. The Town Council received the Council Board and Committee minutes for information.
Thank you very much, Councillor Meyer. Members of council, any questions or comments to the members of GCC? Seeing none this evening, we'll call that to question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. We have no bylaws this evening, so we'll move on to item number 9, our business items, and we'll now proceed with tonight's business item, the Significant Names Registry Edition. This is 9.1 on the agenda. Administration, please proceed with your presentation.
Good evening, Deputy Mayor and rest of council. I am pleased to present a recommended addition to the Significant Names Registry this evening. As council may recall, this policy was established in 2022 to honor prominent individuals within our community. According to the town's policy, any names considered for the registry must be submitted to council for approval prior to being used. Tonight, Town Administration is recommending that Alistair Grant be added to the Significant Names Registry, allowing his name to be used for the new trail connection along Highway 16A. To be considered for the registry, an individual must meet the criteria as outlined in the policy. In this case, the name Alistair Grant was submitted by local business community members. The primary criterion for consideration, as stated in the policy, is a person who volunteers and provides extraordinary help or care to individuals, families, or groups, or supports community services and humanitarian causes. The recommendation for Alistair Grant highlights his significant contributions to the trail system. As a member and past president of the Rotary Club in Stony Plain, Alistair played a crucial role in planning the current trail. The submission also recognizes his extensive contributions to the community through his business and volunteer efforts over the past 40 years. Should Town Council approve this addition, Alistair Grant's name will be added to the registry, and Town Administration will proceed with using the name for the new trail collection along Highway 16A. This concludes my presentation. I welcome any questions you may have.
Thank you very much for the presentation, administration. So with that, we have the presentation, we have the information included in the council package. I will look to council for any questions in regards to clarity or understanding of the presentation. Councillor Hansard?
Deputy Mayor, I wanted to just ask administration if the naming Alistair Grant on a trail was not initially intended for the north-south connection of the trail system on what at that time was Boundary Road, now is Veterans Boulevard to the south and Boundary Road to the north. I did not understand that Alistair Grant's name, although was previously not on our significant names list, certainly deserves to be there, but I thought because of the work he had done right from the beginning on a connection, that that would have happened on the other trail, not the trail running east-west, south of Highway 16A. I'm confused by the switching of where his name would be attached.
Through Deputy Mayor to Councillor Hansard. Thank you for the question. The name being used from the town significant registry, a couple of thoughts on that. The trail that was built that's currently on Highway 16A about to be opened was within the town's control to construct. And the one that you're referencing that goes north-south, the North Trail, was built by the city of Spruce Grove. Utilizing each organization's individual policies and processes for selecting names. This name was submitted to us by the business community for consideration with this trail, knowing that the town was the one in direct control and management of its construction. Appreciating the comment that these two trails and this whole trail system have a number of people who have contributed to it over the years. And selecting the appropriate name and location is certainly a germane discussion. That said, the name before tonight is intended to be, should council approve it, would be used for the East-West Trail with the reasons that I gave in my presentation.
Okay.
Thank you. Continue.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. I guess my question is then that until the more recent event of that trail being constructed on the south side of 16A happened, all along, years ago even, the north-south connection along Boundary Road and Boundary and Veterans Boulevard was always supposed to be that connection as the one that actually brought our two communities together. I realize that trying to make, we have a problem with not necessarily a safe crossing across Highway 16A, perhaps maybe not as safe as some would like, because I know at one time there was supposed to be a pedestrian crossing, but the cost became astronomical over the years. Nevertheless, that connection was the original connection that I believe Alistair Grant was putting all of his efforts into. And although right now it seems that that trail goes to the Catholic Church, it actually is and was supposed to be a connector to the Tri-Leisure Center and to allow Stony Plain residents to not necessarily have to drive to get to the Tri-Leisure Center. So I don't want to read more into it than actually is there, but we have a history that I think takes some departure to step away from that and now decide that we want to put Alistair Grant's name on a different trail, because it really is a different trail. Although connecting Stony Plain and Spruce Grove, it's a completely different trail than he originally thought he was working on. That's not meant to be a debate. I guess it's a question. Does any of what I said sound like what did indeed unfold around Alistair Grant's efforts.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, I can maybe speak into that a little bit, and again, maybe just in an effort to provide context that I am aware of overall. As noted in the lead sheet, a bit of the process going back is what is noted in simply put, 15, 20 years ago. At this point in time. I know upon my arrival, so to speak, I'll say, in 2010, there were still people in the building, in the organization, that had spent time on the process I believe you're referring to, and kind of outlined again in the lead sheet. Part of the challenge, I think, or part of the uncertainty is, some of the records that don't exist anymore, or, minutes of meetings from Rotary clubs or what have you, a number of years ago, I don't want to say are lost to time, but are certainly only available or even just recollections to some that had direct involvement. I will note that a couple of things just from my own perspective. There was always there has been an understanding that, the concept of Rotary Trail linking the two communities, has been inside the organizations. I think both, council level, administrative levels. I know in my perspective, I've always thought of Rotary Trail as it relates to linking to Spruce Grove sort of starts for us, over what would be the current existing, 7-Eleven, Tim Hortons, 28th Street kind of chunk. I remember seeing that piece on old maps of sort. That's my brief recollection of where we stand today. I think then, fast forward to 2021, I believe, or in and around there, was when, the councils in Spruce and council in Stoney and administratively, came around to the notion of constructing the north-south trail and then constructing the east-west legs or what have you. And as such, I don't know that I would say there's an absolutely definitive map that I've seen that said, this one is the entirety of the Rotary Trail. Mr. Deputy Mayor, I'll just simply stop there. That's a bit of my own recollection over the years as to, kind of what got us to today or where we sit today with this in front of council.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I'm going to Councillor Plechko.
Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor. So my question revolves around when we first were presented the trail connection between Spruce Grove and Stony Plain. It goes back to a while ago when we were in council, and if I remember correctly, and I can stand to be corrected, but we were told that that was a significant trail between the two communities that actually would link the two communities. It was a priority trail at the time, and there was funds from both Rotary clubs for that project. When I read this today, I'm a bit bewildered as to where this changed, because even something that just as little as 2 or 3 weeks ago, the information that was portrayed to us was Spruce Grove had the trail named at one end and we were to name the other, which was the Alistair Grant side of it. So coming forward today, I'm just wondering if there's a way to maybe get better clarification, because I'm pretty sure the Rotary Club of Stony Plain can provide that clarity for us along the way that will be able to get us to the proper connection of the two trails. How do we go about that?
Mr. Deputy Mayor, I'll maybe just provide a bit of comment, perhaps answer, but if I'm, I'll maybe, so what's being asked of council, so I mean, as council's well aware, I mean, these two trails have been constructed, and they exist, they're open, so on and so forth. Maybe I'll just step back a second. The funding that came from Rotary, the original funding, in my recollection, paid for costs associated for the area, what I would say, I mean, that kind of runs through the trees there from 7-Eleven to Shell, Circle K, I'll say. That's what I believe the funding was utilized for. Again, this is now, I'm believing this to be circa, into the, the mid-2000s. So just, if the question is, what funded the existing, the trails as we currently would see them, from Boundary or Veterans to north and to the east, there were no direct Rotary funds funded specifically into those. I'm just going to stop there and just see if I'm on track or.
Again, I'm struggling a little bit because my recollection is totally opposite of what you're talking about. And I was not able to find that specifically, but everything that I kept coming to comes to the talk about the Rotary Trail when we built that trail between, which would be south and east. When we were building that trail, we had that very distinct, to my recollection, was dedicated to Rotary and how we were spending the Rotary Club of Stony Plains money. And now we're seeing something totally different. So I'm just wondering how we get to the point where we can be definitive as to what we were talking about, because even as little as 3 weeks ago, the conversation we had was regarding the trail. It was going to be the southeast trail, not the east-west trail. And I'm just wondering, I'm really looking for, I don't disagree that Alistair should be on the significant names registry. I'm just not sure that that's the right portion of the trail to be doing that. And I'm looking for clarification of how we get to that proper clarification.
Thank you, Councillor Palechko. And I would like to actually make that very clear. When we look at the town's significant naming policy and the significant names registry, it is council's responsibility only to approve the names that go on the registries. We're responsible for approval of names of neighborhoods, arterial roads, municipal buildings, and approval of commemorative names for arterial roads and municipal buildings. It's actually the development authority who is responsible for the approval of roads, development areas, private developments, parks, recreation facilities, trails, stormwater management facilities, watercourse, and utility facilities. So I would like to actually ask administration, I think we're already hearing some concerns in respect to the specific trail in which is being proposed, but that is not actually a part of the motion. It is a part of the background information as to the intention. But I just want to hear from administration as to whether we feel that the discussion in respect to which trail is what we should be continuing on this evening, or if we should be strictly focusing on the name of Alistair Grant added to the significant names registry.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, I appreciate the comment and the clarification there. So yes, what the question in front of council, or the recommendation in front of council, is simply to have it added. So if council sees fit, it goes on the list, it goes on the registry. We can certainly, if council sees fit to do that, then we could administratively seek further clarification. In this case, if there is anything from Rotary that we could find out about, to take a bit of a look further into the, which portion thereof and so on and so forth that could take place. As council, I know council's aware, we're looking to open the thing on next Monday, September 16th. If we can come to a understanding prior to, would certainly look to alert council, make council aware at that point in time. I'll stop there. I think that's what's in front of council now. Some of that other work could be done in some way, shape, or form prior to or in conjunction thereof, is what I would say.
Excellent. Thank you very much. With that, I will just look to my right to see if there are any other questions in regards to the presentation. See none at this time. Okay, thank you very much. I do have a question in regards to the presentation. Again, speaking to the trail connection, and I'm just wondering if there were discussions held with the city of Spruce Grove in relation, in the city of Spruce Grove on October 4th, 2022, when they designated their portion. They're very specific about talking about dedicating a section of Rotary Trail. And they name that the Rotary Trail is a pedestrian connector between Spruce Grove and Stony Plain that is nearing completion. This would have been the north-south trail. Was a discussion held with the city of Spruce Grove to garner an understanding of what they believe is Rotary Trail?
Through Deputy Mayor and all of council. So we were through the whole project. We had discussions with the city of Spruce Grove for both trails. We certainly worked on that together. With respect to the names and the sections, I don't recall the exact context and how the city went about. Assigning the name that they chose for their section. What I can offer in the benefit of the historical nature of this is the city did communicate with the town on what their intentions were with the choice of name, and much we did the same prior to coming to council tonight. We talked with our counterparts over at the city as well. It was just a general dialogue back and forth of these are the things that we were going about. I don't know if I have much more to add to that beyond that we do communicate on a great deal about these trails between each other.
Thank you. And then the second question that I have, the proposal tonight is to add the name Grant or Alistair Grant to the Significant Names Registry. However, in review of the Significant Names Registry, I do not see the Rotary or Rotary Club anywhere in the policy itself as a significant name. Is that something that we would need to consider adding? Should the name Rotary or Rotary Club be included in the trail name?
Mr. Deputy Mayor, I can speak to that a little bit, and I think we're starting to realize as we've created the significant name registry and the intent to move down a path of applying the historical names or significant names in a manner to even across the different built environment within the town. That's a good question to ask ourselves. We have Rotary Park, we have Rotary this, Rotary that, and those naming, I don't want to say naming rights, but those names would, I think, generally evolve from the fact that there was significant contribution made to that particular park or so on and so forth, and therefore the name and the sign and the logo sort of thing are installed out there. I would say that would hold to a degree when it comes to Rotary Trail. Like again, although we may not have all of the paperwork or the exact historical record at our fingertips, there was always an understanding that Rotary had provided funding into these trails and that there would be in some way, shape, or form a recognition of such at some point. So without being definitive or a yes/no on that particular question, that's part of our evolving nature in this particular policy is those sorts of distinctions.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Those are the remainder of my questions. I'll just look to see if there are any other questions of clarity and understanding only. Remember, we will have an opportunity for discussion and debate after the motion is on the floor. Councillor Hansard?
Mr. Deputy Mayor, could we just have clarification, please? On the trail that now is running on the south side of 16A, between Stony Plain and Spruce. Do we know what Spruce Grove is planning to name their portion?
Mr. Deputy Mayor, through to Councillor Hanser. So I'll just turn back for a second here. So you would be asking about the entirety of the trail from, Veterans to Jen Heil. Is that the portion you're asking about, correct?
I'm talking about from the corner of Veterans Boulevard to Campsite Road. This suggestion is that we name our portion Alistair Grant. Some of us on council had the thought that his name was supposed to be attached to the north-south piece, but I'm not talking about that now. Would somebody please clarify what Spruce Grove's part of the east-west trail is supposed to be?
Your Mr. Deputy Mayor, I would indicate, regardless of the fact that trail crosses a municipal line, the general definition, as council is aware, Spruce Grove was responsible, involved with, and the creation thereof of the north-south trail running up Boundary Veterans. And we were always to be responsible for the east-west portion running as we just described. So I don't believe that there would be two sections there. I think the reference to section would be we consider that east-west one, the one that we're responsible for, and therefore would be naming it. We would intend that the name runs all the way. There wouldn't be two names.
Okay. Mr. Deputy Mayor, with your indulgence, please. The reason I asked that question is because in the explanation given in our package, part of the reason for attaching Alistair Grant's name to the piece, I thought, was because Rotary Park was also involved in the naming of the east-west portion that is in the Spruce Grove municipal boundary. Am I missing something or misunderstanding something? Because I do believe it's mentioned.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, if you'll allow me a little bit of indulgence here, I think, what the intent here, what the basic, and I'll just speak to intent in my dialogue with my counterpart, it was always the intent, the belief that there would be a trail connecting Stony Plain to Spruce Grove. It was always acknowledged that Rotary, regardless of timing, year, individual, so on and so forth, and all the specifics thereof, had a big role to play in not just the vision, but in some of the planning and so on. I believe what's in front of council this evening, to go further past just the addition, is an acknowledgement, as Spruce Grove has done on, what we would call their portion of the trail, is to acknowledge not just the Rotary as an entity, but two individuals that were very directly involved in the project, but not just in that project, but in both communities. That's the basic notion, the basic intent. I'll just leave it at that, Mr. Deputy Mayor. That's the intent.
Excellent. Thank you very much. For clarity and understanding? Okay, go ahead.
For clarity and understanding, what I'm looking to is the Spruce Grove and Stony Plain celebrate the completion of the joint trail connection. In there, they talk specifically about it being a Rotary trail and connecting the two communities. So if you can help me to understand how that has now morphed into the other side of the highway. Because it was celebrated from the Centennial Park, the Rotary Centennial Park in Spruce Grove that connects the two communities through the Rotary Trail.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, I would just, I guess my comment or my input onto that is I don't think it does. I think that's the intent I spoke of. Whether it's one trail or two trails, I think we're referring to the notion of the connection points, and both or both of them having the, I would say, historical support from Rotary clubs.
Thank you very much. Clarity and understanding. Seeing no more, we will move on to the motion. And so we'll go to Councillor Loynes. Can you please bring the motion forward?
Town Council add the name Alistair Grant to the significant name registry.
Thank you very much, Councillor Loynes. So with that, I will look to Council for any debate or discussion on the motion. Councillor Hansard.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, I believe you explained clearly that we're thinking that we're approving two things here in some sense, because we have adding a name to the registry with a further explanation about what portion of a trail might be named after this individual. I think, if I'm understanding what you said and what has been said by Mr. Newstead and our town manager, that we should not get bogged down in this vote about what part of a trail or an entire trail, no, never mind that it might change direction. We should not get bogged down about that naming because it is not really in council's purview to do so. That really it's administration and through the planning department's privilege to name whatever piece of trail system they want to name. Am I understanding that correctly? And if so, then council has nothing more to say about it. So our only chance to bring up any questions was in the process we just went through. Is that correct?
Thank you very much, Councillor Hansard. You are correct. As per the Significant Names Registry policy and the naming policy, Council is responsible for the approval of adding the name to the policy. I believe, again, administration has indicated their intention behind the name being added to the policy and where it is intended that that be used, which does open the opportunity for questions. As mentioned this evening, our decision is regards to the name and strictly adding the name to the registry. I believe there's been discussion that administration obviously will likely take back in consideration of moving forward, as well as council would have the opportunity to express to administration, either in conversation or via email, any feelings that they have in respect to where that name may appropriately be used. And I believe administration will then take that feedback in part of how they will make their final decision at this point in time. Town manager, anything to add with that?
Not at this point, Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you very much. Any more debate or discussion on the matter? So seeing none, I am supportive of adding the name Alistair Grant to the Significant Names Registry, whereas I do share some of the concerns in respect to how it has been outlaid that that name may be used. I think there's a little bit of lack of clarity in that. The 1995 Summer Games were a long time ago, and it may take a little bit of digging and some work to understand truly what has happened since then. Obviously, both communities handled the funds that were received a little bit differently and were put towards different projects. It's my understanding that Stony Plain actually completed their part of Rotary Trail many, many years ago, and that essentially is the trailhead that leads from approximately the 28th Street area right to the corner of Veterans Boulevard and Highway 16A. Therefore, I'm now curious as to why there is a different section. So I'll be asking those questions of administration. I do want to highlight, though, the importance of history. And Alistair Grant and the Rotary Club and how this money and this trail came to be is a very important part of our history. The 1995 Alberta Summer Games were a very important part of our history. And we did have a monument of sorts to the 1995 Summer Games in Rotary Park, which had tiles done at the Potters Guild from every athlete that participated in those Summer Games. And unfortunately, that piece of history has since been lost. So I would encourage council to support the adding of the name Alistair Grant in reference with Rotary Club and his time with Rotary Club to the Significant Names Registry in order to help preserve some of that history and allow administration to move forward with feedback from council on how that name is to be moved. So, unless I see any other matters for debate or discussion, seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. That was our only business item on the agenda this evening, so we will move into council discussion, and I will start to my left today. Councillor Plechko.
Nothing this evening, thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Hansard.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, it was a privilege to be with you and Councillor Loynes and Councillor Palechko at the grand opening ribbon cutting, cut by a truck no less, at the new card lock for the co-op bulk plant on the corner of 779 and I believe Wood Avenue. What a privilege to be there, and what a blessing that facility will be to people all up and down Highway 16 and Highway 16A when they just have to take a quick turn off of those highways to come and get their big rigs fueled, and everybody else that is interested in card lock. I really appreciated that there was such a good turnout from others as well to celebrate that particular facility, and just would like to recognize them and offer congratulations here in council chambers.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hansard. Councillor Meyer.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just a question to administration. I had a chance to take a ride with my boy through the neighborhoods of West Terra this last weekend. And one of the parks, oh, by the way, I just throw it out to administration, good job on the parks, and everything's looking very nice, but it, there's a but there. Maybe a bit of a windstorm, whatever, knocked down a number of branches, and there was a bit of, they have a like pea gravel instead of sand in that park, which got outside of the park. Anyhow, so I'm sure that we do a very good job, but things such as that can crop up in between visits from, say, the mowing crew and somebody like that. I'm just curious, besides the reported app, would say, I mean, I know there's garbage cans there, we must be changing those. Do our public works staff, when they do that maintenance, would that be an opportunity for them to catch things like that, or?
Through your worship, Deputy Mayor, to Councillor Meyer, you're correct. The crews will go through and do their usual operations, the change out of the garbage cans, as you mentioned, and other work that they may do. If they see something amiss, they'll generally alert their supervisor and let them know. If it's something that they can, I know that the crews, if they can just deal with something very quickly, they usually will. Sometimes, though, there are other circumstances in the operations that are going on. They may make a note of it and come back to it. So I'll give full confidence that that the people that are on our operations teams are always trying to keep the town looking its best, regardless of whether they're roads, parks, or utilities, or whoever. That said, if you're asking for other avenues, certainly if you or anyone in council sees anything, you can certainly shoot me a note, and I will send it to the appropriate people. The reported app for everybody in town is always available. That's an option, and our administration at Public Works does a good job of keeping on top of those things. And if the report app doesn't work, certainly making phone calls to the town office and letting us know those do get to the operations crews appropriately.
Okay, and thank you for that answer. That's kind of how I thought it was. It does strike me as a bit of a situation, a bit bigger than just a quick job, but not, something too large. So I'll check back in a week, and hopefully West Terra Park has seen a little bit of attention. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Councillor Loynes.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just a quick question to the General Manager of Planning and Infrastructure, if he has an update regarding the shredded event from yesterday, if it was well attended or anything like that.
Through Deputy Mayor to Councillor Loynes, I don't have a specific update on that. I know it just happened, and there's probably some stats coming our way here. Once I have those, I will shoot those to council.
Okay, appreciate that. And then the only other thing for me is a reminder that on Friday the 13th, from 7 to 9, Alberta Culture Days, we have Indigenous Storytelling Festival happening here at Chicowie Park. And that is all for me.
Thank you very much, Councillor Loynes. For myself, I do have one question for administration before I move on to just a couple of reminders. Currently, there's significant road construction on Golf Course Road in between 49th Avenue and I believe it's Bright Bank. There's been some traffic concerns, particularly around the intersection at 49th Avenue and Golf Course Road. I'm just wondering if the general manager can provide a little bit of an update on the work that's going on there, and as well what the proposed timeline is, as we know that's been pretty impactful over the last while.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, for the question. Always happy to talk about our road program here at the town. It's something we're very proud of. I can certainly confirm that we did have a couple of complaints from traffic goers through that location. Deputy Mayor, you're correct. There has been a lot of changes to facilitate the construction with some lane closures to make the road work happen. First and foremost, we always appreciate the town residents giving the construction crews their space and following the posted guidelines, and from the flag people as well. That said, there were a couple of reports of it taking a little bit longer to get through the section than normal. It's with any road program and these things occur, it's very rarely just one thing. There can be an attribution of a number of things, such as there could have been delays with the equipment crossing. There could have been a train at that location that may have hindered and blocked some traffic for some time. It could have been it could have been traffic itself. Sometimes, so with these traffic accommodations, trying to make different turns onto fairways, for example, there might be a car queued up for quite a while waiting to turn. And I can only speculate as to what the exact reason was for any individual person. When we do receive reports of concerns for safety, which I know can occur from time to time, our town staff do go out and make inspections of the site. They take their reports they'll hear from residents. They'll also proactively visit the sites to make sure that the traffic accommodation plans are being adhered to that were approved by the town. In this case, I can confirm that we did have reports of concerns from residents about the work. The town staff did meet with the contractor, went over their traffic accommodation plan, reminded them of expectations within that location during work. The work that is being done right now it's referred to as pulverization, where they will mix the underground of the road into itself and add some other materials. That is completed as of today, so it will that section of road will remain in its current state for a few more days. Paving will begin is planned to be complete by about September 20th, weather permitting. It does need time to set for the construction method to work properly. In the meantime, we've also asked the contractor to double efforts on any dust control. The section will be a little rough until it's paved. That is normal for this type of road work. And we just ask that residents give their patience and adhere to any traffic accommodation controls that are outside, including from the construction workers out there as well.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate that, and I'm glad you mentioned the dust control, because that was going to be one of the next aspects of that I did ask. With that, just maybe a couple of reminders and announcements. First of all, there were two fantastic events this weekend that I just wanted to highlight. First, on the 7th at our RCMP station. For those that don't know, we actually have the provincial monument for memorializing victims of impaired driving through MAD Canada. It resides right here in Spruce Grove at the Parkland Detachment. On Saturday, there was the annual ceremony of adding names to that monument. It was a very moving and very touching ceremony. While it may not seem like a large number, there were 3 names added this year. But frankly, I think everyone would agree that we all long for the day where there were 0 names added to that monument. So it was a great ceremony. And then another fantastic, long-standing community event. It was the 21st annual Rotary Run was held here in the town of Stony Plain. I'd just like to give a huge commendation to the town staff that assisted in putting that on, as well as our bylaw officers who were out there doing traffic control with our partners in RCMP and their volunteers. I believe the number of runners to volunteer ratio was almost equal this year. It was somewhere around 220 to 250 runners to 200 volunteers. And so it just goes to show that it takes a pretty significant number of volunteers to run these events. But again, very long-standing, 21 years in the community. They made that through COVID. They made their adjustments. And this year was a brand-new route, and it was a beautiful route showcasing our wonderful trail system through the town. So a huge kudos to those. Some upcoming events. We've already heard a little bit. We do have Alberta Culture Days coming up this Friday, the 13th, as well as on the 21st. It's split over 2 weekends this year, but the Alberta Culture Days is always a fantastic event. Stony Plain participates very heavily in that, and there'll be events all over, so I encourage you to look at that information. The 15th, we have the annual Parkland Terry Fox Run held at Jubilee Park in Spruce Grove, which we would have seen a proclamation came out today from the mayor on that, so very proud to see us recognize that, and look forward to seeing another town team participate in that event, as well as council colleagues who are attending. As thoroughly discussed this evening, we do have the Joint Trail Connection opening on the 16th at 2 p.m. and that'll be celebrated at the Rotary Centennial Park in Spruce Grove. So again, anyone who's available to attend, please do. I hear there's either e-bikes or e-scooters going to be at that, and I think it'll be very interested to see that alternative mode of transportation and how that may assist residents in commuting back and forth between the two communities. We also have the Stony Plain Public Library Crawl on Friday the 20th. So I don't know a lot of information about that, but looking forward to that event going on in our community. And then our Gather and Grow Day on the 21st, which is now the new name for the combination of our former Neighbors Day and Arbors Day. Both events, again, fantastic events for our community. Been very proud that those events continue and looking forward to seeing how they roll out with the new branding as Gather and Grow. There are no closed sessions this evening, so that will call this meeting to adjournment. Thank you all very much, and we will see you again on September 23rd for our next regular council meeting. Have a good evening.